Okay, so we now have our tables built and our models are associated. So we know that users have many tweets. A tweet belongs to a user. Let's just open up our index file now and run shotgun. We can look at our app. So when I try to run the app, I get this undefined method username for tweet. We can remind ourselves we don't actually have a username column anymore in our tweet model. So we actually need to get rid of this tweet.username. Instead, since we played with this in Tux and we know this works, we can actually type tweet.user.username because we have that association. So we can say for each tweet, get the user, and then from that user pull out whatever value is in the username column. And the tweet.status should stay the same. So let's try running that again. Great, we see we have Jim, I love Game of Thrones, and this is interesting. We have our form with the username and status, but wonder what would happen if I typed in a new username here. And if I submit. So we have an issue here, and let's scroll down and see what our Sinatra error is. Our error is there's an unknown attribute username for tweet. So we're still stuck with our form that is passing in a username param, which on the back end in the controller, when I create a new tweet, doesn't know what to do with that username param. So instead, we need to figure out a way to pass in the ID of the user so that we can create a new tweet using a user ID. So the first way we can do it is just creating a user ID param, and we would change this to user ID and save that, run it, but this is not going to be really helpful for us. So I don't really know what my user ID is. I know that Jim's, because we've only done this with one person, is 2. So we'll create a new tweet using that user ID. And look, that worked. But this is kind of ridiculous. Who wants to have to input their user ID that might be many characters long if they want to write a tweet? So one workaround that we're going to build today is actually to have a drop-down list of all the available users to us. And we'll also create a new user sign-up form. So a drop-down list, instead of using this input type text, we are going to use what's called a select field, select input. So let's actually get rid of this. So our user ID, we are going to use a select. And Cloud9 is really nice and autofills for us. And the select is going to have a name, so this is going to be the left side, the key of our param, and the name is going to be user ID. And then each item in our list is going to be each username. Now we don't want to have to manually put in the username, so we're going to write some embedded Ruby here. So we'll say for at users.each do each user, and we'll add our end. So for each user, we want to create an option. So that's one option in the dropdown, and the option is going to have so we're going to embed the user.username. So we're going to embed the username for that user. That's easy, but we also need to pass in the value. So the left side of the param for user ID is actually going to be the ID. So we are going to create an attribute called value and set that equal to, we'll use our embedded Ruby again here, user.id. And let's save that. And we'll just fix our formatting. So once again, we're creating a new select input, and for each user that we have available, we will show that user's username, and we'll pass back in params that user's ID. So let's save this and run it again. Now, we have an undefined method each for for a nil class. What our issue is here, and this is always good to look at our errors, is that we're using this @users.each variable, but we actually didn't create that in our get request, in our get route. So let's create @users and set that equal to user.all. Same way we did this for tweets. And let's refresh. There we go. So now we can see we have our two users, Danny and Jim. And when I select that and then create a new post, submit it, it creates a tweet and automatically associates that tweet with my user ID. And so now, instead of having to manually type in who made the tweet, we can just select from the drop-down list. So that's really the core of what we did on day 4. One more piece is if you like to try creating a new user form. So in the same way that we have a tweets form, let's create a new user form. So let's create a route called get users. Just forget my do. And a post to users. For the form. And on your own, go ahead and using your tweets form, it's the same idea. Create a new view to create a new user form, and when that user form gets submitted, create a new instance using user.new or user.create, and save the user that you've created so that it can be used to tweet. So hope this is helpful for you. It's a good review, and reach out if you have any questions. All right, bye everybody.